All right, hello, welcome everyone to the first round of the Link to the Past Randomizer main tournament. This is going to be an exciting match. This is going to be fearagent versus ShivaHaze. Looks like fearagent hasn't created a file yet, but the race is not officially started, so not behind quite yet. With me commentating is WolfLink0370, otherwise known as WolfLink. WolfLink, how are you doing?
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm doing very good. This is going to be a great race. So, folks, we are now in the main bracket stage here. These two runners have got through their group stage matchups, and we're going to change things up just a little bit. It's no longer double elimination in format. It is now single elimination. So, once these guys finish their set, the loser goes home.
Yeah, speaking of finishing the set, it is still best of 3 sets. Rando being Rando, one-game sets are... they feel a little bit volatile at times, so best of 3... First one to 2 moves on. Last one to 2 drops out of the tournament. So that said, we are on game 1. We're just kicking off this bracket, and hopefully we've got a good race tonight. Both of these runners are very, very good, and yeah, we won't be able to say any more until we really get into the meat and potatoes of it.
Well, we can explain something right here as we start in the house. We are doing a standard World State tournament here. But things are a little bit more tricky as it seems. But first and foremost, we have a random weapon. And right there is an example of what's to come. That should have been an armor upgrade. Our runners are playing on hard mode, which means all the items on the item pool are still the same, but the restrictions on our equipment limits are a lot harder on them. So we're not going to see any armor upgrades. We're not going to see the silver arrows, the gold sword, the mirror shield, which is a blessing in my opinion.
Yeah,
and we're only going to go... Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, to be a little more precise, there's basically a limit on how many upgrades of certain items that you will see before they start turning into green 20s. For example, we're only going to see 14 hearts total, 7 of which are heart containers, 16 of which are heart pieces. So that means after that many are collected, any subsequent pickups will turn right on into green 20s. As we see, our first weapon is indeed a sword. We do have a vanilla first sword.
Yeah, now, they're still all in the item pool. I want to clarify that. But once you hit your equipment limit, in which case green mail is the best equipment limit we have, they turn into those green piles of 20 rubies we saw in Link's house. That would have been the blue mail for our runners.
Yeah, it's sort of a distinction without a difference. The main thing being, you know, if you have the opportunity to see an item, say we find another sword down here, and then we see on Desert Ledge there's a sword. And then in Desert Palace, as we're going to go get it, we open the chest and, hey, look, it's a sword. So then we go outside, and that sword will now be a green 20. As we find the ice rod, picking up some nice items that we're not going to have to look for later on in the game.
There's things we're not going to have to look for. Or bombs. We found some in the chest there. We want to look for those for the escape sequence, but we have a sword as well. That was on our uncle. Bombs are important because of the last 3 chests in the escape sequence. They require the bombs or the Pegasus boots. Normally, you're going to be looking around for the guards to hope to drop them. But we got lucky. They just are in a chest. Pretty easy.
You would ideally like more than 3 bombs. However, it's nice to get these right away, because then you can just focus on making this opening section of the game pure execution. You don't have to waste time with the guards. You can hope for some extra bombs later on with tree pulls, bush crabs, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and also, they don't have to worry about grinding the drops from the rats, because we saw the guards drop. They dropped a full magic and a small magic, so that group does not have a bomb drop, I think, unless it's very late.
Yeah, well, one of these days I'm really gonna need to dive into those prize packs. Either that or stop commentating standard start, because it's actually a very important sort of piece of knowledge to make sure that you can make the most of your escape. There's a particular sequence, and if you know them, then you know within 1 or 2 drops which one you're in.
Yeah, the drop pools themselves aren't randomized, but the enemies can be in different groups than normal. So,
right. For example, the guards and the snakes, aka ropes, in the escape sequence are always in the same prize pool, but they don't always have the same prizes.
yes, but the
I mean, they
rats
do as
in
each
the-
other, but seed to seed, that is.
Yeah. Now, the rats in the escape sequence, those are a different prize pool. So if they didn't find those bombs in the chest, that would have been their second chance to try to find them. And there's a big group of them just after the Dark Crossrooms that they can grind up. But we already have 3 bombs. We're already about 4.25 minutes into this. Pretty good time, actually, for this point in the race. So yeah, we're just going to be trudging right through the dark rooms here.
And they're not so dark right now. We do have that courtesy cone of light here. Usually randomizer races, generally speaking, are played with advanced logic. And advanced logic does allow you to use the fire rod for dark room access, but basic logic requires you to have the lamp for logical completion of all dark rooms. So with that in mind, I guess the whole reason I brought that up is the game will never expect you to do rooms in the dark. The reason that you get a courtesy light cone here is because that would mean in standard start there would have to be a lamp before this part. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to be expected to complete it. That said, most of these runners are going to be able to do any room in the dark without the lamp, with little to no issue.
Yeah, and this free light cone is only available during the escape sequence, and it's just to make it so the lamp can appear later, which can be a blessing at times, can be a curse.
Also, we get a nice little heart upgrade there. Certainly something that's nice to see. We're not going to be able to count on an early blue mail upgrade or something to effectively double our health. So any hard upgrades that come early are going to sort of increase the flexibility. You can end up with these seeds getting pretty, unexpectedly tough if you end up starved for hearts, say for like the first 20 minutes and you still have 4 or something.
Bugnet, it's not a normally good item, but when you have green mail and the enemies get really dangerous in late game, wow, we have 5-6 in Eastern and Desert, and another Crystal and Hera. But yeah, once you get in,
crystals.
once you get into late game, which the enemy's going to hurt a lot, having the ability to catch your fairies is actually really nice to have.
Yeah, it's a nice option to have. Ideally, you do want to be, packing as many blue potions as you can, but if say you're in a situation where you're low on hearts and you can grab a fairy or 2, you only need one of them, keep the other one for later. Nice 300 rupees sitting there in the woods. That's kind of nice to see early game.
Yeah, ideally I would want to have a blue fairy or blue potion and a fairy, because the fairy's just a nice peace of mind. Especially when you get to a boss fight like Ganon, in which he can very easily 2-shot you if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, and especially in hard item pool, the value of the fairy actually goes up because, it's a greater percentage of your max health that it refills. So the advantage that the potion actually has over it is not quite as great. Fearagent checking this next tree pull, only 10 arrows there. Not the most useful one.
That'd be good if you need to refill the quiver after, say, Armos, because one of the pull trees is actually the right claw of Turtle Rock. So good information to have for later in any case.
Yeah, it's just very rare for that sort of information to become relevant. It's always good to know, but arrows are usually one of the last things you're hurting for outside of very specific circumstances.
Now, we did mention that there's only 7 heart containers available. One of those is going to be the Sank Heart as well, every single time.
Yeah, Sanctuary Heart being the only heart container in the game that actually refills your health. All of the other boss heart containers actually just add a heart, and then you get the courtesy refill afterwards. It's just a kind of an interesting quirk about the way the game is programmed.
And already, 10 minutes in, we got just good boomerangs here. And also, I want to make a note here, because I didn't mention it before. Both our runners here had a sub-6 escape. That is a ridiculous time. Very nice as well. I could barely get a 7-minute escape.
Yeah, and it's especially good shout, you know, with only the fighter sword as our, you know, primary weapon. Some of the more powerful weapons can be used to speed it up. The hammer can dispatch guards pretty quickly, but you know, knowing the fast strats does pay off. You know, you get that nice chunk of time right at the beginning of the seed.
Yeah. ShivaHaze gonna go ahead and buy bombs here. Both runners now with the Quake medallion out of the Kakariko well. Not the most useful medallion. Can be useful sometimes, and it could be required to enter one of our 2 medallion dungeons, which we don't know if they're required or not right now. They could both be pendants, actually.
Yeah, it's so right now we're kind of stymied in terms of, you know, where our progression is going to be. We still have that South Shore area, but if Mini Moldorm Cave runs dry, then we're likely looking at a full eastern dip, you know, unless something big shows up in Saha's Closet, because we're nowhere close to Aga, logical Aghanim access, and we're missing all of the items for Dark World access.
Yeah, could also be over at Agina's Cave.
Right. I mean, the longer it goes without us seeing those items, you know, the more linear this opening is going to end up being.
Yeah, that could be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. I've seen it go both ways.
Yeah, really, a linear seed really just it tends to benefit whoever is ahead at the time. You know, kind of obviously, but you know, if a seed is super linear, then whoever's behind really doesn't have that many options to try and save time. There has to be a big play made at some point, but you know, it's a little early to start talking about this. We do have the South Shore. ShivaHaze is the first one down there.
Yeah, fearagent to follow. No, I don't think fearagent has done the map check just yet. No, I think they both did.
Yeah, another thing to note is generally when you have a really strong opening, in terms of getting a lot of really powerful items really quickly, it has a tendency to sort of run dry in the middle. And the reverse is kind of true as well. You know, the slower the trickle of the good items is, the easier the seed ends up being to read, sort of because of that linearity. But your best option is a lot more apparent when you're roadblocked by so many items. And there's one of the big ones, the glove.
Yep, so that means we need the hammer and the moon pearl to access Dark World. Alternatively, the other glove and the moon pearl will be enough. Glove also combined with the lamp, if we find that, opens up Death Mountain. And if we find a hookshot as well, that's a lot of items.
Yeah, and the glove in particular does open up the possibility of Zora in logic. We see fearagent taking a different tack over here, deciding to go for the desert area and take a peek at what's over here. Only one item can actually be picked up here, which is the one in Agina's Cave over here. He's going for Agina's Cave first, so I wonder if he's just prioritizing getting this check out of the way rather than going all the way over to peek at Desert Ledge.
Well, there's a Titan's Vets and the bow. So now Eastern looks like a viable play.
Yeah, very nice to get the bow before your first trip over to Eastern, because then you can check Saha's Closet, as we affectionately refer to it, as well as get the full clear of Eastern Palace. It's not in logic without a source of fire, but that's not really going to be a concern for either of these runners.
Yeah, they can get at least 2 items guaranteed. Well, actually, no, 1 item. Never mind. I'm thinking of just going straight to Armos because I'm used to going through the dark. Yeah, fearagent going to Agina's Cave is a pretty okay play. It didn't pay out, but at the same time, a lot of runners ignore that, and it's just an isolated location until you have the ability to check Mire. But more often than not, I've seen that. Oh, there's our Dark World access right there. Wow.
Yeah,
all right.
Moon Pearl in Ice Rod Cave. Yeah, unfortunately, that check of Agina's Cave not really, you know, coming up big for Fear there. Not that it needed to be a huge play, but it's going to be time that's going to be easy for ShivaHaze to not have to make up, because we know it's a pretty So it's a pretty worthless item, and with now, Dark World access in hand, there's a lot more stuff to do that's more important than going and checking a Gina's cave.
Yeah. It is something that has burned people in the past, but today it looks like it's going to be a bullet dodged. Fearagent's about to get his Dark World access. Shiva's actually not going straight to Dark World. I like this, because that way... Sure. Because making sure you get all your Sphere 1 checks is pretty important, actually.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it would be really nice to, root Pod and Eastern together, with the mirror and do all that. But at the same time, it's really understated sometimes how big those 3 items in the back of Saha's closet are, and the longer you put that off, the more chance it has to really bite you, and it's really not a huge cost to go there. So, and the other factor sort of going into this is the fact that we have MIT's Dark World access, not Hammer Dark World access, but MIT's, which means the only Dark World portal on the main overworld that we can access is the one north of Village of Outcasts, which in terms of navigating the Dark World itself is just a royal pain, because if you ever want to go to the Light World again, then to get back to the Dark World, you have to start all the way from that upper left-hand corner. So if you can find the hammer first, that really smooths things out later on.
Yeah, and even though we don't need to fight Aghanim for Dark World access, there are still a couple scenarios which we could be forced into doing it. First and foremost is we need access to... we may not have access to Palace of Darkness, except through the Aghanim portal. There could also just be an item on the Lumberjack ledge, which requires us fighting Aghanim. Yeah. But with our crystal placements, there is actually a third scenario. The hammer could be a pyramid fairy.
Yeah, it's true. So, basically the only ways that Aghanim can be required are either strictly for any Dark World access at all. If you lack the hammer, it's for that sort of quadrant of the Dark World, without hammer and flippers. Flippers also allow you to access that part. And then, and then rolled into that is that pyramid fairy check. You do need to be able to make it up there.
Yeah, Fury's is going to be taking advantage of this fake flipper state and just going to check all the flipper checks early. This will be out of logic for a good while until we find the flippers, but it will save time overall, just getting them out of the way now. And he can reverse fake flipper out of here to maybe go to Saha or just save and quit.
Yeah, it's sort of a nice sort of coverage, and there's the hammer. So this pays off big for Fear, but he's gonna have to keep that in the back of his mind that is logically locked by the flippers. And it might not be important, but that's a good thing to remember, that he's not supposed to have that yet, but it's huge that Fear found that.
Well, the 2 aquatic dungeons that require the flippers anyway.
Yeah, so we could have Pendant Swamp, Pendant Ice. Classic flippers seed.
Yeah, and also, if he has to do them, he knows that he's supposed to have the flippers first before he can get into them. And in one case, he doesn't really care, because you can just fake flipper into Ice Palace, no problem. But the flippers are hard required for Swamp Palace.
Ooh, I don't remember if we saw Shiva talk to Sahasrara there, and find out that the green pendant is in Palace of Darkness. Because I was about to say, now Fear Agent has the opportunity to do Eastern Palace and then go warp to the Dark World and go right into Pod afterwards, and full clear that as well. But that's a little bit less enticing now, because it's Pendant Pod.
Painted Burna found by ShivaHaze in the big chest of Eastern Palace. That is not an ideal invincibility item. The cape is a little bit more efficient, I think.
Yeah, the one thing about the Cane of Burna, the cape isn't more efficient. I do believe it uses more magic, but the Cane of Burna is applicable in a lot less situations, just because it, there's so much lag associated with it because of all the, the extra sprites that are going on. It's usually a slow option. The one, I think, main example, I don't actually know if it's even It's not necessarily fast to use for blind if you get off script, but it's really easy.
Yeah, the other thing to note about the Blue Cane is that you aren't able to spin attack, which could screw up some strategies.
Yes.
But this is hard mode. An invincibility item is an invincibility item. They're going to take what they can get.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that's actually maybe more important to these runners is the fact that Spike Cave up on Death Mountain is not considered in logic until you have an invincibility item and enough magic to get across. So either half magic or I think a bottle or two. One of those. Is something like that. Again, I should brush up on some of that. I'm not entirely sure the specifics of it. Obviously, it's available before that, but the game logic doesn't force you to go there unless you have those items. With that Blue Cane showing up, that's going to be something that is considered in logic. Okay, so speaking of logic, ShivaHaze here is going to be following that logic and going straight into the Dark World from this portal here. Now, this is a perfectly, I mean, this is a by-the-book play. It doesn't always pay off big to break logic and do those, do those fake flippers checks. And sometimes it can lead you on a wild goose chase with, finding maybe something like the fire rod at an awkward time that leads you to, say dipping Ice Palace or something like that. But in Fear Agent's case, finding the hammer there is not really going to open up the option for that particular faux pas too much.
Yeah, we're seeing SpeedGaming check the Village of Outcasts first. There has been some... It's kind of a 50-50 whether or not you decide to go in to check the front half of Skull Woods. I personally treat it like it's just a cave system.
Yeah, I think... I feel like more often than not, it's the meta play. Okay, so there are the flippers. Not unexpected seeing the hammer there, because the hammer is such an important item that we couldn't expect the flippers to hide for too long. So whether or not that early play pays off for Fear here kind of depends on, if he goes Hype Cave first, if that ends up paying off big in some way.
There's our pendant. It's Skull Woods, Thieves Town. So we need the flute, and we need
pod.
One, maybe two medallions.
And of course, ShivaHaze here, dipping into the front half of Thieves Town, at least. Map is not a good thing to find. You are guaranteed the big key in the front half, and there are 4 item checks total in this dungeon. So basically, worst case scenario, you find 0 items here. Best case scenario, you find 3. Shiva is hoping to find 3 and be able to just forget the rest of the dungeon.
Now, I have seen people get burned by that, actually, because there was, like, maybe 2 items in the back, and then they both were required. But yeah, right now, checking the front 4 is a perfectly fine play, especially when you don't have the hammer to assure that you get the item out of the big chest.
Yeah, I can see you finding 1 item in the front, and then bailing at this point. If you don't have the hammer. If you do have the hammer, that's when you would probably consider going on back. Which, Fear might decide to do.
Shiva is going into the back.
Shiva's going to go for it, too. Again, this is a little bit risky, but notably, we haven't found the small key, so the chance is still very much alive that it's locked in the big chest itself.
Yeah, and it's a 50-50 shot at this point. Because we only found 2 items in the front.
Yeah, I personally like that. I personally like not fearing that big chest. If it's some easy checks, you go for it. Especially if it's a crystal. It's not this time, so it's a little more questionable. But
intriguing save and quit from Fear Agent going to the Sanctuary. Looks like he's gonna actually start with Kakariko and the Village of Outcasts first, instead of going to Hype Cave.
Yeah,
Oh wait, no, he had a bottle. It looks like.
Yeah.
What was that?
That had to be on the flippers checks.
Alright, and we know where powder is on ShivaHaze, so combined between our two runners, we actually have infinite fairies. And there's a third item out of Thieves Town.
Yeah, I'm still not sure necessarily how I feel about not taking advantage of going to Hype Cave. Because in this situation, when you have the mitts already, you can take Hype Cave all the way up into Village of Outcasts anyway, and you know that. Sure, it's out of logic to do it that way. But, you know, it's not, he's not really taking advantage of that hammer. Not that that has to be the main priority when you do get a hammer out of logic like that, but, sort of just following in Shiva's footsteps here.
And actually, this is quite brilliant for fearagent because he can efficiently route the long way around with the smith in tow if he wants to, and then when he's at Catfish, he can just save and quit.
Yeah, so now those that hammer is now back in logic as far as fearagent is concerned.
Yeah, at this point, fearagent knows.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like I haven't been keeping track of everything Shiva's been digging up here in Thieves Town. I don't know if there's an item on the big chest or not.
I think it's a 50-50 because we have that small key in the inventory.
Yeah, we have the small key. I don't know if we've seen both dungeon items. I know we saw the map. So if we haven't seen the compass, it's either here on blind or in the big chest.
Yeah, it's got to be the fourth item's got to be here or on the big chest. You're right. Because there was the map right there, and there's the 20 rupees. Yeah, no,
okay, yeah,
compass
so
is
it works
the big
out
chest.
for Shiva here.
First pendant of the seed, but probably won't be the last. Actually, no, hopefully it's the last.
Hopefully it will be the last. I'm being, okay, you know, all deference to chat. We all hope it's a pet seed. Nobody likes to say it out loud, but we all hope it's a pet seed.
There is actually a couple of items that could be on Ped the seed as well. It could be Hookshot, could be Cane of Samaria. It can't be the Fire Rod, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing that makes a ped seed rather unlikely at this point is that logically we do not have access to two of those pendants. But we're pretty close to pod. So if that fire rod and the lamp show up, then ped is firmly in logic. But for now, we're just going to be doing some overworld. fearagent decides not to go to the back of Thieves Town and just dip after the first 4, which is kind of the opposite of what I was saying before, because, you know, doesn't have that worry of leaving the big chest. But given that fearagent does have the hammer, the potential value of that dip is going to be a lot less, because hammer is an item you really, really want to have at this point, because it just allows you to do so many more things, like, for example, come over here and do hammer pegs.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. fearagent going this way made a lot more sense, because he can route a lot more efficiently the South Kakariko loop with the hammer in tow. About the only thing he can't do is the mirror checks, like K45. And speaking of Hype Cave, we're going to see it right now, it looks like, on Shiva. Alright,
so we're gonna see about how much value fearagent could have potentially gotten from this.
Well, we're starting with 3 bombs. That's okay, I guess. Heart piece, another heart piece, the fire rod, and 20 rupees.
Yeah, so that could have been that would have worked out really nicely if Skullwoods weren't a pendant. Because then you could have, you know, gone all the way up and then cleared the dungeon. It's like, well, hey,
one dig.
There you go. But we don't really care there. One dig is really nice. So Fear is doing this first because you can't do it when you've got the Smith following you. So he's gonna go back up and grab the Smith, maybe? Nope, he's leaving it for later.
Yeah, probably wants it for the mirror, which makes a lot of sense. Having the fire rod though and the flippers combined does put we actually have the ability to full clear ice baths now.
Yeah, you'd love to see the Cane of Samaria before you commit to that. just because of how much time it can save you in there. You don't want to hold out too much, but you don't want to rush it just in case Samari is just sitting somewhere obvious and your opponent happens to find it.
Yeah,
and they get to save like a minute and a half plus.
Yeah, and I'd probably also wait a little bit longer, at least in Shiva's case, because we don't have... Shiva doesn't have any other way to restore the magic outside of drops.
Right.
So it would be a very strict use of magic in there, and probably won't be able to clear the dungeon without having some sort of magic potion refill.
Or, you know, finding enough keys to open up the room on the side down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, interestingly, we don't have a logical mountain access yet.
Yeah, that is kind of an interesting note to go on here. First chest of Palace of Darkness is going to tell us a little bit, I think. Small key. We're not going to be Bullock regardless. We can go through the dungeon mostly. Fearagent is skipping pod. It looks like he's going to
he might be going to the pyramid first.
He might just ignore Palace of Darkness for a good while as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be super surprised at that either. And this way, you sort of, if you get the pyramid ledge check, and then you like take that up into catfish potentially, then fearagent's sitting in a pretty good spot in terms of having those one-off checks ticked off. Conversely, ShivaHaze here is dipping into Palace of Darkness because, you know, it makes a lot of sense. It's a lot of really dense checks.
Okay, looks like fearagent's gonna go that way.
Yeah, not all the way up to catfish, which I think is probably the play here.
Yeah, it makes sense.
A little extra time for a little extra thoroughness.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense for fearagent to route that in later with King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge once the mirror and boots are found respectively.
Yeah, I mean, and then the obvious, you know, caveat there is, you know, if you can. But at this stage, going to pod makes a lot of sense. That fire rod puts more of the items in there in logic, namely the ones in the dark basement in the back. Not the dark maze. The dark maze requires the lamp by logic, but since the other basement has torches that can be lit by the fire rod, advanced item placement logic does put those into consideration.
Yeah, the boss is also not in logic because there is no torches to light in the first room, so the advanced item logic means that requires the lamp in that room regardless. So far, nothing really in the front of pod here. We do have 2 small keys, and I haven't been keeping track. But I think Shiva found 2 items. Yeah, Big Key was one of them. And the Book of Medora is the second one. Okay, so yeah, Shiva knows that the chest up there is the 4th small key.
Yeah, that book is definitely going to be a factor here because it as Chad has pointed out, it does open up the pyramid fairy as something that can be done sooner rather than later. Shiva doesn't know that because the hammer is not, you know, quite there yet. So turning in that bomb would be somewhat of a task.
Yeah. Shiva, as far as he is aware, will have to take advantage of a bomb dupe trick, I think. But it's not required. We know the hammer is in play.
Of course, the everybody's favorite opening a chest and you can see the item there, you know. Didn't used to always be that way, but now it do.
Yeah, definitely a feature I can get behind. And Fear...
Yeah, interestingly, here, Fear does not have to worry about doing that second Death Warp after Boloxide that Shiva had to do, because, you know, having the hammer to, you know, jump down. Going straight for Helmasaur, you know, I actually kind of like this. This way of playing the dungeon, especially when you don't have the mirror. Because then you can do this. This takes the same amount of time no matter when you do it. And, hey, when you're finished, you warp right back to the front anyway and can do the chests in the back if you have to.
Yeah, and this is also a good heads-up play for fearagent, because fearagent got the 2 items. He knows the big key chest is a small key, so he's going to use this key here instead. And he'll still have 1 small key for the back. Actually quite brilliant from him.
Yeah, unfortunately, ShivaHaze takes a death in the Dark Maze. These runners can be counted on to know these dark rooms pretty well. That one is kind of one of the tougher ones to sort of get yourself unstuck in, especially when you're on green mail and you're taking quite a bit of damage from those errant hits.
Yeah, that is probably one of the harder dark rooms in the game.
Yeah, not taking any chances, gonna light this one up.
And here we go, Helmasaur King on fearagent's side. Now, I actually do like...
Yeah, I was gonna say, so far the only potentially useful thing that we've seen, other than that book that both of them have, is the mushroom, I believe, in the maze.
Now, I do like this from fearagent as well. Looks like he didn't get the... Oh, boy. He got checkmated, damn.
Yeah, I've felt that. Yeah, sometimes Helmasaur just gives you those bad patterns, and you know, you have to wonder, okay, do I take it slow, or do I try to go fast even though the patterns aren't favorable?
Yeah, Helmasaur King is that one boss that can just trap you in a checkmate scenario, and unfortunately that was one of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wonder if Shiva is just going this far to open up the corridor for some reason, or if Shiva has forgotten in that pod muscle memory that he can't go any further.
I think it's the muscle memory.
It's gotta be, because he did in fact go downstairs. That is something that will happen to you. The hammer is it as an item, it unlocks so many other checks that it's less common. More often than not, you'll find it earlier on in a seed. And so I would say well more than half the time you're doing pod, you're gonna have the hammer already. Just because it will make no sense to dip into it without it, because of, you know, you can find it somewhere else. So yeah, that can definitely happen if you end up going into autopilot thinking about what you're gonna do next, and then yeah, there you go. You don't have the hammer. Of course, he's going straight to it because he's cleaning up those flippers checks that he now all has in logic after picking up the flippers from Brewery.
Now, the worst thing is if Helmasaur King actually has something useful on him. We know, we actually don't know anything yet, but we know that there's at least 2 items of note, the mushroom and the book. There's our mushroom right there on fearagent's side.
We're gonna see if Fear is able to finish off this maze here.
Looks like Shiva's gonna take that money and go up and pay Zora. We haven't seen that yet. We have not seen that
I don't
yet.
think we saw Zora himself. I know Fear went up there. Yeah, I think Fear went up there and didn't just walk past. Kept going after the Zora's Ledge. So I think Fear did actually do that.
Yeah, and it's gonna be pretty interesting to see what we get up there. Chugging the bottle into the fountain, getting a green potion out of it, so that'll be helpful for Ice Palace. And I expected this
I'm
from
reading
Fear
that Fear
Agent.
did not have the money for Zora.
Yeah, and Fear Agent making the play I thought he would make. Once he finished clearing pod, he was going to save quit.
It still doesn't have that dungeon cleared, but that's okay because it's not a crystal. Unfortunately, it does. Is that an item on Helmasaur as well as the green pendant?
I was not paying attention to dungeon items, unfortunately. He is going to turn in the mushroom, though. Perhaps chat can catch it, or maybe even our tracker, ShivaHaze. I hope I pronounced that right. Hey, keeping those items up to date for us down there.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate for ShivaHaze. It would have felt really nice to route in the mushroom check with that whole area, but you know, there's really no great way to do it when you're checking those flippers checks like that. I was gonna have to do it the same way Fear just did it.
Yeah. So it looks like it was just bombs on the mushroom. So some explosive fungus.
Now we still are looking for that logical mountain access. At this point, where could we end up looking for it? It looks like Fear's going to be going into Ice Palace.
Ice Palace is an option. Desert's an option. That's it, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I was saying earlier, it's nice to hold out until you can find the Cane of Samaria before doing Ice Palace. But at this point, we've exhausted enough of the in-logic checks that doing that anymore doesn't necessarily make all that much sense. Because you could very well find the Cane of Samaria in here. Because what are your other options? You've got, well, Fear's got the back of Thieves Town, which he hasn't done. I don't think either even dipped into Skull Woods.
Yeah, no one says Skull Woods.
But you know, if your Ice Palace strats are, you know, your IPBJs, you feel solid on that. This isn't really going to take all that much time, and you're getting a crystal run, so...
Yeah, and there's also something we neither of us mentioned. The Smith Chain could also have a key item.
Very true. But the Smith Chain is a pain in the batoot to do without Flute or Mirror.
The Smith side, at least, is fine, because you can just save warp.
Yeah.
But the chest side, that I can agree with.
Yeah, and then the danger of doing the Smith part is that you either have to do the chest really slowly or orphan it for a while. Because it's not very likely that you're going to get back to a spot where it makes sense to do it.
It looks like
Meanwhile,
this is going to be
Shiva not
play.
having checked Agina earlier is going to do the desert play here.
Yeah, we'll see what Desert Ledge is here. It's the Cape. So that'll open up Bumper Ledge, actually, because we don't actually need the hook shot for that first pit on the upper floor. We can just walk around that. And neither runners checked Bumper Ledge either.
No, yeah, they haven't even gotten up to that area. They both went straight down into the village.
Alright, moment of truth. Are we going to be boots locked here in Desert Palace? Yes! That map confirms it. We have a small key or the big key on the torch.
It's the only other place that we can look at right now. Yeah, ShivaHaze is gonna go over here and pick up that, pick up the cape. Not for the cape itself, but because we don't know what's on Bumper Cave, and you don't want to find out that it's something you want and skip the cape earlier. So, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and pick that up, save and quit, and, yeah, you know, it's either sequence break the mountain, check Skull Woods, or go to Ice Palace after Fear.
I don't know which play would be the best, actually.
Yeah,
The other play...
Right now, we're seeing Ice Palace.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be Ice Palace for Rough Runners.
I think this is the safest play, honestly, just because again, you're clearing a crystal dungeon, even if it's going to take a little bit more time than it would with say the King of Samaria. It's most of this is time that you're going to be spending either way. So it doesn't really make any sense anymore to put this off. Especially when you got that game knowledge that Fear has, picking up that heart and those 2 magics, keeping himself topped up.
Yeah, there's also yeah, there's not really much else left in the pool other than these dungeon checks.
Yeah, because again, there's the one-off on Catfish. There are 2 items in Skull Woods, and there is the Bumper Cave. For Fear, you know, there's Desert, but yeah, there's not a whole lot. My guess is if we come up dry here, it's gonna be straight to Skull Woods.
Yeah, they're following the item density, which makes the most sense in my mind.
Yeah, of course. Then there is the full clear of pod, which neither of our runners here to have done. Fear was unjustly robbed at the end by a helmeted dinosaur doing its job.
And we do have a question in chat. Why aren't they using Quake on the Wipe Out the Ducks, the Pengators? It's very simple, actually. Because we have the Fire Rod and we require all 8 shots of the Fire Rod to break open Cold Stare Shell, we need to save as much magic as possible. So, using Quake would actually be a detriment to us in the long run.
Yeah, it's also rather slow. It looks like ShivaHaze did not go with the bomb strat, which Fear used. But if you do it right, you can just use 2 bombs and take them all out in that first room with just that. It's a little bit slower if you go for the hammer. But yeah, Fear has managed the magic correctly, and we're gonna have a Cold Stare fight with Fighter Sword here. So
it's not
expect to see that hammer coming out.
I don't expect to see the hammer, actually.
Oh, really?
Because I noticed
Fear
yeah,
blue
blue
potion.
potion.
We have the blue potion. That's right. Oh, we do
Gonna
see the
just
hammer.
keep it until he needs it, though. Plus got desynced, but good hits so far. Has 11 hearts here, so can take another hit from the puffs.
Yeah, this is a spooky fight with Green Mail, because this is the dungeon where you're supposed to find the Blue Mail.
Doing pretty good so far.
Yeah, I mean, and I do like doing this over just relying on grabbing, you know, chugging that potion and just shooting the fire rod shots, because that's still going to be pretty expensive, and if you manage it here, he's got that blue potion for later. So, well managed.
Got it down. And that is the second crystal match there for Fear Agent.
Yeah, and that's a lot harder than it looks, because that you do have to spend a lot of time, you know, practicing that to make sure you've got those hitboxes down, because both the hitboxes for Cold Stare himself and the hammer they're not very communicative at first glance. They're not exactly where you'd expect them to be all the time. So it definitely takes a lot of getting used to pull off what Fear just did. So GG's to Fear for that.
Yeah, but there was nothing in Ice Palace, so where is Fear going to go now? So it looks like it is going to be Desert Palace. And then probably up to Skull Woods afterwards.
Yeah, might even check Bumper Cave first. But at the same time, it's since one of the items that we're sort of hoping to see is the mirror, because that would open up a couple more checks. If you do find the mirror, then you can. It's a little better to hit up Bumper Cave after doing Skull Woods. So now we see ShivaHaze going down into Cold Stare fight, so let's see how this goes. Ooh, going to have to use that blue potion. Nah, the magic management not quite as good.
Yeah, but using the blue potion has its
Yeah, I mean the big worry here is Well, okay, so you do have those extra fire rod shots now. Not as many as you'd like without half magic, unfortunately, but now it doesn't have that insurance. You know, Fear could have taken another hit and then just drank the blue potion just to be sure. But now Shiva has to be very careful. Can't afford too many of those.
Yeah, Shiva is just getting cornered by Cold Stare. This is probably one of the worst bosses to die to.
Yes, the return trip is very, very long, especially without the Cane of Samaria.
Right down to one puff.
It's one of the most painful things in a race too, because you know you have to be careful. You know that a slip up could cause you a huge amount of time, but going slowly in a race and being careful is very stressful.
Yeah,
like
but sometimes...
in the moment, the last thing you ever want to do is like, I don't want to take this slow. I can do this. I want to believe in my own abilities. But then, you know from experience, that's when you overextend, and finishes it off though, which is I think the best case scenario there. You know, you don't take a death. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, playing it safe infinitely better than losing the amount of time it would take to reset the dungeon.
Yeah, the way I always like to say it, being bad is better than being worse.
Oh, and there's a check actually we didn't even think about. Because we have the powder, we can have check magic bat.
I had forgotten where that showed up. I think it was in pod?
I believe it wasn't pod yet. No, actually powder was in
no,
Village of Outcasts.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah, it was.
I suppose then yeah, then it makes sense. That makes sense because, yeah, Fear did not do this when turning in the bottle. Because he didn't have it yet.
Yeah, it was in C-shaped house. Wow, that's a tongue twister.
C-shaped seashells by the C-shaped house. Alright, so it's kind of you know, 1-1 here in terms of where our runners are at. Fear ended up playing a little safe with some of the early game routing. Routing in some extra checks that ShivaHaze kind of missed. But ShivaHaze ended up doing all of Thieves Sound. So it kind of came out in the wash. Looks like Fear's checking Bumper Ledge first before heading into Skull Woods.
Yeah, this is a pretty safe endeavor because it's pretty quick.
Yeah, I think I will give slight edge to fearagent here. Just in terms of, you know, checks done and what the routing they're likely to take.
Yeah, fearagent's routing has been very efficient.
Yeah, there were those early extra checks of, like Agina was kind of out of the way. But again, it's not really inefficient because that's an inefficient check sort of no matter how you slice it. So doing that one early isn't really that much lost time.
Yeah, I like to play early because isolating checks is one of the worst things you can do because once you get down to that item hunt mode, you're going to be just going to all corners of the map. So minimizing how many corners you have to visit is always a good thing and to play when you're going for the long game.
Yeah, and that said, though, Agina's cave is it's generally, it's probably the most forgiving of those orphanable checks.
There's our progression.
Yep. So now we know exactly what we need to do. Fear's probably gonna, he's gonna go to the back, and possibly just check the item chest back there. Because it would be really nice if we got both of the items out of here. Because you don't want to, at this point, you don't want to dip after just one item. Because it's very possible the other item in here is also important. And you lose buttloads of time if you gamble on that and lose.
Yeah, checking the second item for the second item makes a lot of sense. Especially because you're going to be save warping anyway to check the flutes. So you might as well make the most out of your save warps.
Yeah, and I think particularly because the fire rod was very accessible, is sort of why you go here first rather than what Shiva's doing here, which is going sort of to the front. Because these are sort of in logic no matter what, but given that the game gave us that fire rod for seemingly no other reason, you know, it's, I do like doing the back first.
Yeah, and the flute opens up 4 item locations right now, the 2 in Mire Shed, and the 2 on... only just the 1, actually, up on Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, it's, you know, you'd think it would be, the play would be to go straight up the mountain, but without the mirror or the hook shot, there's not a lot we can actually do now. That was a very good hammer moth fight there.
There's the second item, it's a heart container.
So yeah, and that's exactly why you do what Fear just did. Because now, since Shiva is doing the front half, that's going to be, you know, the last location in the dungeon. Fear doesn't have to worry about the front half at all. So... that's sort of why you do that.
Yeah, and Shiva was contemplating just bailing at that point, which would have been this time saver, actually, but gonna go to the back anyway, make sure.
We don't know that Pet is dead yet. And unfortunately, without the mirror, we can't check right here and now. Because we do have the book, but you need the mirror in order for that to be really, really nice to do. Fear's gonna go and activate that flute right away. Probably head to Mire area first, if I had to guess.
The only thing that... well, actually, no. All of our remaining critical items could be on the pedestal right now.
Yeah, we need the mirror, we need the hook shot, we need the boots. We need... I mean, logically, we need the lamp. We need the Cane of Samaria.
We also need at least the second sword.
Yeah, so if we go to Mire area, we can check Mire Shed. If we go up to the mountain, we can get Spec Rock and Spike Cave.
I think we're going to see the mountain first, because we can check Spectacle Rock Cave, and if there's nothing there, we can then flute over to check the Mire, which has the more items afterwards.
I think you go Mire first here, honestly. Just because of the possibility that you can do more on the mountain by the time you get up there.
Yeah, this is also sensible.
These checks are so fast, and you get the bonus of the Mire medallion information, that I feel like there's no reason to do this later rather than first.
And it's
you're really only hoping for mirror, which is only one more check.
Yeah, and it's going to be Ether to enter Misery Mire, which is what you normally need.
And there's the mirror.
Oh, yep, okay, nice. Fear Agent.
Yep, the very, very good save and quit. Really, what do I want to say? Discipline. Save and quit discipline there. Yeah, didn't go for it too hard because he still has this to check now. And now that's best case scenario. Now he doesn't have to worry about coming back here until he can go clear Mire.
This also means he has a lot more movement efficiency on the overworld, so he can start checking a lot of stuff now.
Yeah, and crucially, that's way more mountain checks, which is exactly why you go here first rather than going straight up the mountain. I think going to Mire first is the play 90% of the time.
Yeah, he's gonna go to the mountain
firm
here.
On that one.
Going to the mountain here is pretty good play. I can expect him to leave pretty quickly though, because with that mirror in play, we can now check the front half of Swamp Palace. And there could be some left side swamp. It could be French vanilla hookshot, for all we know.
Yeah, the issue with going up the mountain here, especially since we don't have boots, is that every time you do it, it's a relatively large time investment. It's a little easier with the boots when you can set up spin speed, hook speed. But we have to go at regular walking speed every time we go up. So you don't necessarily want to take that to go up for just, 2 or 3 checks, in my opinion. Not when Mire is not really going to get any faster.
Now, we definitely have heart pieces, so the last heart container is either made out of 4 pieces, is the Sank heart, or it's just another boss heart container at this point.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't think either of our runners care. 12 hearts is enough for both of these guys.
Yeah. I mean, that second row is pretty safe here. And there's our... I think we've seen all 4 bottles now. I forget, was there one in Ice House? I want to say there was. I don't remember.
Yeah, so Fear not checking Spike Cave. That's not unusual here.
Yeah. Fear has 3 bottles.
Check this. Okay, now this is interesting. We can check this
think.
tablet, but we can't pick it up because we only have the fighter sword.
Did I see Fear menu in over 3 bottles?
Oh, maybe.
I couldn't tell.
We would have had to hear it. We're getting a look at Catfish here over on ShivaHaze.
And we did see Ether tablet that was 300 rupees. Oh!
Now that's a good item for to find there. Doesn't do a whole lot for us just yet. However, if we do have Turtle Rock Quake, that's Turtle Rock clearable, and there's a lot of checks in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, that would be huge. But we don't... Well, actually, no, we do have access to the right side with the hammer.
We do indeed. However, so what we need for go mode here now is we need the hook shot, and we need the boots, and we need ether.
We also need another sword and potentially bombos if Turtle Rock requires bombos.
Yeah. The sword, you kind of forget about the sword until you need to, just because of, it could be in GT, so when you're sort of thinking about go mode, it's kind of rare for you to have to factor in the sword, but yes, we are going to need to find another sword. Hopefully 2, but both these guys will take 1. They're not picky.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of surprised seeing fearagent climb up the tower. I guess he doesn't know the bomb bootlet setup for Harapod.
Well, you need the hook shot in any case for Harapod. You do
right.
Need
I forgot about that.
Don't worry, I've forgotten about that too on cast, so you're not alone. That's actually the only reason I remember is because I've forgotten it before.
Fair enough. Anyway, Boulder 2. I almost said Boulder 2. Why did I say Boulder 2? Boulder's down. Looks like we have an item in the basement, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is a time investment, but, you gotta do what you gotta do.
And Flute online now for ShivaHaze.
Yeah, so, and you see just how much more time that ended up taking. I wonder, well, I guess Shiva went over all the way to Catfish, first of all, which definitely took up more time. Was rewarded quite handsomely with it. Fear is not going to get over there unless, comboing it with the...
Whoa!
Okay, so that's available. It's available for Fear, but crucially, not for Shiva. Because Shiva's going up the mountain now.
Yeah,
does not have the mirror.
Yeah, the mirror's over in the Mire area.
That's why you go to Mire first?
And it's 1 medallion fits all. Ether is also required for Turtle Rock.
But yeah, that sword find is really good for Fear. Now there's also the opportunity of picking up, say, maybe Ether Medallion on Bombo's tablet, which wouldn't have been possible without that sword. But we're gonna need to find the hook shot before that really becomes a great play. Half magic's not half bad.
I see what you did there. But yeah, having the sword there is also pretty good, because if Furious decides to leave it there for the time being, and then he finds a second Master Sword copy, which that will become the 10% up there on the floating island, he can then get 10% up for GT.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's not the worst idea to pick it up now. Just because Master Sword saves some time on a couple bosses. And then, so does Tempered Sword, so then you give yourself the opportunity to find that. But I guess we'll see what Fear does here. Certainly the big treasure trove is going to be Paradox Cave.
Yeah. I can see Fear leaving it behind over waiting for Bat. Okay, never mind. I think he's going to go get that now.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
with that hook shot, that's going to be all 4 of those checks there. Could be another sword in there, really, or Ether Medallion.
Yeah, he left behind Hookshot Cave. He just straight up abandoned over going to Spiral Cave. And there's either in Spike Cave.
Spike. Okay, so that's gonna be Fear's gonna have to make a separate trip just to Spike Cave. Might consider going over there actually after Hookshot. That's probably the play, because you're over up there in the Dark World anyway. It's just sort of a couple, really just one screen transition, I guess.
Wait a minute, we're in no mode.
Right, we certainly are. No,
Okay,
we're not. We don't know where the
bottle.
boots are. We need the boots for desert.
Oh, you're right. Right. I forgot about that.
But yeah, this is kind of interesting because Fear has to find his way over to Catfish, which is kind of hard to do when you have this much available. That's going to be a kind of a late check. We're going to see all of Swamp first, most likely.
Yeah, we're going to definitely see this
for
here.
Shiva. So that's boots from Go Mode for Shiva right now, which is spooky for Fear Agent fans out there in the audience.
Well, Shiva doesn't know where the second sword is. We do, and Fear does as well.
Yeah. Oh, the issue though is it's not hard to find. That's the thing. It's not hard to find, especially when you have Turtle Rock logical access right here.
Well, there's something that we had with regression. We've got so many things at this point, we don't know what it is. Could have been our silvers, could have been our mirror shield, could have been our red mail, because we definitely found the blue mail early on.
That was the first check, if memory serves.
Could also have been a heart container, because I noticed we got a heart piece from Fear Agent, and we're in 13 hearts, so the last piece, the last heart container for Fear Agent is going to be made out of pieces.
Right, and so now we're probably going to see Fear jump down and head over to Spike Cave. At that point, I bet we see Meyer. No, we don't, because he doesn't have the cane. So yeah, unfortunately, Fear missing the one item to take advantage of that medallion.
Now, Fear actually has left himself an option to get the Cane of Samaria through routing in Graveyard Ledge, all the way north across to Catfish. But he really wants the boots to streamline in the Bonk Rocks and Kingston with that as well.
It works out really well for Fear if the boots are in Swamp Palace. Because if he finds the boots in Swamp Palace, that's probably going to be his next play. Or, you know, it's going to be much sooner than it would be if he still had to find the boots elsewhere. But yeah, it's going to be... So we left the item in the basement of Hera, correct?
I believe we did, yes.
It's a long item. Could be those boots though, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we're gonna see Swamp. Because again, Crystal Dungeon, time you're gonna have to spend anyway. You're not saving it, doing it later. May as well do it here. There's 6 checks in there. This is, you know, first order optimal strategy from Fear.
Yeah, this is the most item-dense dungeon location, and the most item-dense location left, period. So, if the boots are very likely here, third sword could also be here, and then that would put us in no mode. He probably also thinks maybe the King of Samaria is here, but we know where that is.
You know, yeah, anything could be in Swamp Palace as far as Fear is concerned, and in light of that, it doesn't really make sense to do anything else. The issue is, with the... Unless Shiva finds the boots first, Shiva's going to be at most one item from Go Mode going into Swamp. So there's a very distinct possibility of a full left side Swamp skip if it's unnecessary. Or at the very least an initial skip and potentially some time save if it's in the back. Whereas Fear is too many items from Go Mode, I think, at this point to really think too hard about not getting all of the items in Swamp Palace before leaving.
Yeah, I would expect a full kit from Fear Agent.
Especially given what's missing, you know, the boots and the cane.
Now that said, I have been surprised before, and if he finds everything on the route to the boss, he knows that map compass on left side, which is a possibility still, and then he can just ignore that safely. So I
only like to do that if I found the big key, and found something in the big chest already the first time I go there. It just makes me feel a little safer about it. But you know, that's just me personally. There is always the option, if you haven't seen anything yet, that it's over there, and then you go into Diver Down room and find both the map and the compass in there.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see at least a traditional leave left side for last from fearagent, and then Gage, depending if he has the map and compass.
Hey, it's a good sign. One more item for the board.
Yeah, and so far no map compass, so he's probably going to start with the back first, and then if he finds it over here, he's going to check left side.
Yeah, and the nice thing about doing this is if you do find the big key in the back, then it kind of softens that blow a little bit, because you're going to be wanting to bump back into the dungeon anyway, so you don't have to consider whether or not it's worth climbing back up for it. And, you know, this way, if you find what you need in the back, like a tempered sword, that's nice to see. A map, so one item guaranteed to be locked by left side.
Yeah, so if it's the boots and fearagent doesn't check it and ShivaHaze does, that is game. ShivaHaze is going to be something on the master fairly soon, and we'll definitely find that tempered sword later, so there's not going to be a combat advantage going forward.
Though in this situation, it is very nice to find the tempered sword there, because it does speed up the Argus fight considerably.
Oh yeah, no question about it. We just need to hope that the boots are in a place that fearagent will go first.
Unfortunately, no dash poke strats available here.
Yeah, with the quick on phase 2, fire. Oh, missed it.
Not quite. Unfortunately, that ends up making it a 3-cycle. You can 1-cycle it if you do that properly, but usually it would be two tempered sword spins would be enough, so you can 2-cycle it pretty easily. But you know, trying to save that 1 cycle costs an extra one. But pretty quick fight overall. Ends up picking up the 4th crystal. 4th, yes.
Yeah, 4th crystal. Now, there are still 2 items here. We'll see if fearagent goes back in. He is going to. Smart. Because for all he knows, the cane and the boots can both be in here.
Yeah, and you know, you've got 3 checks left in here. You've got to clear it out, and then you go Bombo's tablet, and then you play it from there.
Yeah. We know that one of them is not going to be the check he's looking for, which is the Canis Mario, which is on Catfish. But if he finds the boots, he'll eventually get to Catfish, I think, with his mirror routing.
Yeah, the boots are going to lead Fear probably directly to Catfish, maybe to Desert.
Oh, is he leaving left side? He's leaving left side swamp. Ooh, okay. This could be risky.
Could be. But, you know, one of the items, as you said, isn't in left side swamp, so...
Yeah, boots are left side swamp, then that is really bad for Fear.
I like to imagine Fear actually forgot that you can go to left side swamp. That's what I'm going to imagine in my headcanon here. Not that I think that would happen, but I just like the mental image.
I didn't see the compass in swamp.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing the compass either. I also don't remember looking particularly hard. I only remember seeing the map.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and so now gonna head up and do Cave 45. Again, cleaning up those mirror checks. So the next stop very well may be going up to Graveyard Ledge, and subsequently Catus Fishes.
Right,
we also do have Pyramid Fairy? Question mark? that is we are done with that, right?
No,
He's from,
can't do it.
Oh no, that was desert. Desert. Sorry, my bad.
It would be on ped though, but not currently in logic because we don't have the lamp.
Right, that lamp is sort of saving these this route. However, Shiva now, you know, heading into Turtle Rock.
Pyramid Fairy is dead, and Agate is dead at this point.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Fear, Turtle Rock could very, very, very well have these boots.
Yeah. 5 items, 60 if you count the Mimic Cave.
Yeah, so this race right now is gonna kind of come down to when those boots show up. If those boots show up soon, you know, Fear's gonna be behind, all other things equal, because of, you know, the Samaria disadvantage here now. ShivaHaze getting that leg up on Turtle Rock. If they take a little while though, then that could equalize things a little bit, because then it's gonna be a little tougher for Shiva to get around to it.
Alright, so we're gonna see a 57 here from fearagent, having done everything else. And the boost could just be in Graveyard Ledge as well.
Right. I do like routing all of this together by Fear, though. You kind of have to, skipping Left Side Swamp. You can't leave anything else if you skip Left Side Swamp like Fear just did. The Mire Dip. It's risky. This can't be anything else. He's done everything else here.
Right, he has the hook shot, yeah. I was like, wait,
So,
how's he gonna get past the first room? And then I completely forgot about the hook shot.
Yeah, you know the way you're supposed to do it.
Oh, be careful, Shiva!
Yeah, those chain chomps will kill him one hit here.
Yeah, they do a whopping 6 hearts with a charge. I think they do a little bit less with their just wandering contact damage. But still, second highest contact source of damage period in the game. Highest goes to Ganon himself with his contact damage.
Yeah, the Ganon hug of doom. Meanwhile, you know, this is all lost time for Fear unless the boots are in here. Yeah, so Fear doesn't know that the cane isn't in here. If, you know, not knowing that, it's a lot more reasonable. Because, you know, you don't want to, you know, you're running low on checks, and you don't want to be like, I'm not going to just ignore, you know, going into Mire without the cane if there could be French vanilla cane. So I'm sure that's what's on Fear's mind here.
Yeah, and checking for anything in here is still going to be a good time, because if it's a late boss key, then Shiva has to commit this amount of time as well.
Right. The worst thing here for Fear to see would be the big key showing up in this chest in this room. The invisible chest that nobody can see yet. There it is. Okay, good news. That's good news. It's not a Godmire, which definitely means that the amount of time he's spending here to get the item checks is mitigated a little bit. Would have liked for those first 2 chests to be items, but I think one of them kind of has to be a small key. I'm not sure on my full Mire key logic. I only know
I don't think
what
either,
I need to.
I don't think either can be required to be a small key, but I just know that if on the left side here we see a small key, then the big key is in the other chest.
Yeah, that's about all anybody needs to know. 1 item, that's 1 of 2. I don't... Okay, so I do this routing all the time where I do that check, and then this check. I don't know why I've never thought about exiting the room that way. So I guess I'm exposing myself a little bit there, but I didn't know you could just, you know, walk right 2 screen transitions from that room. I always go down and then right, like some sort of chump. So thanks, Fear.
Yeah, this whole upper floor is a pretty convoluted maze. But once you know all the twists and turns, it's pretty easy to navigate.
I thought I did, but I guess I just never thought about it hard enough. Yeah. I learned something today.
There's our boots.
There we go. Okay. That's unbelievable.
So it's a forced double dip mire.
Yeah, well...
Actually, no, it wasn't.
No, it isn't. Shiva's gonna be able to do it in one, but... Oh man, that bailed Fear out so hard.
Well, it hasn't bailed him out just yet, because fearagent still needs to go to Catfish.
I mean, yeah, it hasn't bailed him out, but... I mean, if it hadn't been in there, that would have just all been sunk time, pretty much.
Yeah, the best route Fear can do is to take the north side of Dark World.
At this point, it's probably going to be desert and then, you know, north side Dark World. Because, you know, what else is left? You know, the only thing that he could find that would open up anything additional is going to be the Cane of Samaria, which is go mode.
They'll find the shovel, actually.
Shovel, yeah, sure. Whatever. Stupid shovel.
So yeah, it's probably going to be Bonk Rocks to Graveyard Ledge to King's Tomb to Catfish. Traveling in the Dark World mainly.
Yeah, and Fear smartly deciding to mirror out, not checking the big chest. You know, don't know what's in there, don't care. Gonna go straight and do the boss here. You know, make the most of this time, especially knowing that the Cane of Samaria could be somewhere else. And there's a possibility that you could single dip Mire. I don't know if that was intentional on ShivaHaze's side.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, took the quadruple bubbles and got a fairy. I believe Shiva took the safety door regardless, so...
I'm really glad that the boots were in Mire, because that made this race a lot more interesting. I'll say that. So now we're just going to have to wait and see where these runners converge. The nice thing for Fear is that the full clear of Turtle Rock isn't going to be paying off that much for Shiva, because now Fear is going to be able to do that as his last dungeon, pretty much.
And on top of that, we'll also have the Tempered Sword, which will speed up this Trinex fight right here.
Yeah, so Fear sort of has the disadvantage of that forced double dip of Mire. Well, not really forced, but you know, it's inevitable double dip of Mire here. And Shiva's gonna have to pay a mountain climb. Hope you had another fairy, Shiva.
Yes, they did, yeah. Alright, Fear Agent, where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, you skip left side swamp, that you are committing to last locationing that. It's far too much of a recommitment to consider not doing it. He's gonna go in for the second item here in Desert now. He's hoping to find it first on the boss, but again, with how little things, how few checks are left, you don't want to just leave this one. Not with two items sitting there in left side swamp.
Oh, wait a minute, I just realized something. Fear Agent could also think that it's on Pyramid Fairy, which we know it's not.
Yeah.
But at the same
that would be a good play. In all honesty, that would be a decent play at this point, because in the event that you do have to go to Pyramid Fairy to get it, this is sort of the one way where it's sort of the best case scenario for you, given what you've done. You know, going to Mire without the cane, finding the boots in there so you can clear Desert. Like, if that logic chain were to be required, then to do this here would be to take the greatest advantage of it. Conversely, to do anything else would be to sort of throw away that potential advantage. So it's kind of a, you know, shoring up your bets. You can also bring this up into Catfish if you want.
Yeah,
to.
that was the point I was going to bring up, was the fact that it doesn't matter if your agent goes top route with the Graveyard Ledge and all that other checks, or goes this way. Usually you pair either one of those routes by ending on Catfish. So I think he's going to get his Cane of Samaria here shortly.
Nice little game knowledge. You usually can't dash with that bomb, but I think there's... Is it a one-frame window? Is it a frame-perfect thing to do that with the hook shot? And you can dash with the follower?
I don't know. Anyway, Fear's gonna get his junk and move on. Gonna fill this bottle with the Prey Pound here.
Gotta
Gets
get
us to
those
beat.
bees. That was a good bee too.
And releasing
So,
it,
yeah.
and is walking. This is a catfish.
Yeah, you go to catfish here, because this leaves Bonk Rocks, King's Tomb, Pyramid Fairy, Green Pendant, Pedestal. Yeah, he's gonna do some of these first, going all the way to catfish first. Unfortunately for Fear, gonna be getting that a little bit late. But when you dash over here, you can knock these out too quickly to really. Because once you're a catfish, you can't really come back here. You kind of have to put all of your eggs in that basket.
This is actually not a good thing for Fear, because he could just
It really
route this
isn't.
and ignore it. But where else does he have left to go besides that?
Yeah, I mean, it's either this, catfish, left side swamp, Palace of Darkness clear. Yeah, maybe he's deciding to go to Bonk Rocks over here, pick up the portal, go check the
Oh, he's zigzagging it. He's zigzagging it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think he's trying to find a way to route it all in, because you left side swamp, you can't afford to leave anything else. You have to find some way, however convoluted, to sort of get it all in as best you can.
Yeah, this is smart from Fear Agent. Good routing. And now he's going to check Greater Ledge, and hopefully he'll go to Catfish after this.
Yeah, unfortunately though, no, I guess Shiva doesn't have the boots yet. So,
Yeah, so Shiva just lost a couple seconds here checking the cutscene chest.
yeah, I wonder what the chances. Nah, probably not. The chances probably aren't too good that Shiva skips the big chest and doesn't find the boots. Because once you find the big key, where it is in the lobby chest here, checking those other two chests are before you go back is pretty free to do it before going back, and pretty expensive to do it afterwards.
But the big key's not here.
Oh, isn't it? Okay. So where was the big key again? Oh,
was,
do you have to do 2 loops?
No, it's on the... It's next to the big chest, actually.
Okay,
so
yeah. That's sort of what I meant by that. So you have to go around the once and then jump down and go around again. So in that case, you could see a world where you skip it. Because it's once you pick it up here, then you can go straight back.
And
up or down?
going...
Down. Okay. Yep. That's the safe play. That's the safe play.
Go mode for Fear
It's
Agent.
not that long. But yeah, we're about to hit go mode on Shiva's side. Swamp Palace clear and Desert Palace clear behind. And that Swamp Palace clear is actually pretty crucial here. Sphere is going to have a go mode mire, not going to be too far behind going in. So if Fear can get up the mountain and clear Turtle Rock in less than the time it takes Shiva to do Swamp and Desert, this could be really close.
It can be really close, but there is an advantage that Fear Agent has the boots for Turtle Rock, which will expedite the process, and he knows not to check anything important because he already has his Tempered Sword, so he just needs to get his keys in go mode.
And that Tempered Sword, crucially, is going to really help in this regular stare, normal temperature stare, Vitreous fight coming up.
Yeah, Fear Agent gonna go this way.
It's going to be a significantly faster fight for Fear than it is for ShivaHaze here.
Yeah, and if Shiva decides to just ignore the chests in Swamp House over trying to go mode and look for a sword in GT, is gonna miss the sword in Swamp Palace. So, could be very detrimental there, because we haven't talked about this yet, but we have to do the Silverless strat, and the difference between Silverless is pretty significant between Mastered and Tempered. We're talking like maybe a good 30 seconds to a minute at minimum.
Yeah, if placement in like world placement, if both runners are in roughly the same place going up, but one has Master Sword and one has Tempered Sword, it is not a close race. It's twice as long with the Master Sword, just for the last phase, not to mention the first two. So it's that is probably the biggest difference you can basically get from just an upgraded sword is in the Silverless Ganon fight.
Yeah, it's 52 spins to do a Master Sword Silverless Ganon
So
fight.
here we go. Shiva really having to take these trying to get the most out of the Master Sword here. This is much quicker with the Tempered Sword. I'll just put it that way.
You can use Zeros to wrap things
And
up.
Fear's right behind here.
Yeah, fearagent is gonna make mincemeat of
almost
this.
done here. Yeah, it's one of those bosses with way too many health points. Honestly, just like that, you know, it's pretty even. Shiva's got 2 dungeons to do. Fearagent's got just the TR climb.
And Shiva might waste a little bit of extra time in desert and swamp just to look for the Tempered Sword.
We completely glossed over that Dark Mire too.
Oh yeah, that was really good for both runners.
Yeah, so where's the lamp though? Where is it at?
Based on what we've seen, either left side. It's gotta be either left side swamp, the item we left behind in Hera.
Yeah, Hera makes sense. Hera makes a lot of sense given that we found the fire rod so early.
Or I think it could be the one item we... Oh no, did we find everything in these done? I think we did.
Yeah, Shiva did a full clear. Because the last, couldn't get the big chest, but Blind had the last item, so. But yeah, I feel like if I had to guess, it would probably be Hera Basement. Because we had the fire rod, you do need fire to get that item. So, given how hidden that lamp has been, it's kind of got to be there. Did we find both items in Hera? I thought we determined that there was an item in the basement. However, by determined, that is Wolflink said it and I believed him, so.
I think we saw it. I wasn't entirely sure. It was big key, small key on the ground floor. I remember that much.
Yeah, so we've got Shiva probably heading into the fight here. As Fear is starting Turtle Rock. So which is faster, go mode Turtle Rock or go mode Swamp?
Go mode Swamp is usually the faster dungeon, but ShivaHaze is not going to be completely go moding it because ideally wants to expedite the Ganon fight with the Tempered Sword.
Yeah, and the Fear's probably going to be half done with TR by the time ShivaHaze is entering the dungeon. Well, maybe not half done at this point because that was a pretty quick Lamos kill, but it is, you do have to kind of do your due diligence to open it up.
Yeah, we can't also forget that Shiva has to climb the mountain again in order to get back to Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, so really, if we want to consider Fear in the lead here, I think the most crucial play, honestly, was the dip into Mire paying off. If I had to pick a moment, because if that dip doesn't pay off, Fear's in a really bad spot.
Yeah, it's way too close to tell based on the execution, or rather the routings thus far. We'll have to wait for GT and the execution, because it could be decided by a left-right. It could be decided by a Ganonfall. It's way too close to call right now without seeing the runners.
I'm not calling the race. I was saying if we want to call this a lead on Fear's side.
I don't think it's a lead at all.
Yeah, for sure, there's a lot of things that can still happen between now and, I don't know, roughly 10, 15, 20 minutes from now.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lead whatsoever. It's way too hard to tell.
Certainly a come from behind from what would have very certainly been a deficit. That was a big pendulum swing.
Yeah, right now for me, it depends if Shiva opens up chests here in Swamp looking for the Tempered Sword. If ShivaHaze just go modes the dungeon completely and hopes that they have to hope that there's a Tempered Sword in GT. If they're on the same equipment level, then it becomes a very close race, and I can put anyone in the lead right now.
If Shiva gets the, if Shiva skips the Tempered Sword, that's definitely fearagent with a lead. If Shiva doesn't, I mean, either way they're going to be in GT at around the same time.
Yeah, and fearagent can also route this a little quicker.
Yeah, knows we don't need to see what's in that lava chest. It's at best a small key. At best.
Fearagent skipping checks too. Should be good to go here.
Yeah, I think possibly the small key you need to open the boss door is in that big chest, but it's the way that the placement algorithm works out, it's a very, very low chance that you're going to need the key, a small key in the big chest.
So this is the moment of truth here. If Shiva does not open up these chests and just goes straight to the boss.
No, yeah, Shiva opens these chests. You're right here. You don't have Tempered Sword in a hard item pool fight. Yeah.
All right, yeah, there we go.
It would be negligent to not open those chests if you're going on Master Sword and you're in go mode otherwise.
I mean, if you're behind, you might want to save any chance you get. Those cutscenes are only about a second long, but they add up.
Yeah, but then again, how behind do you feel if you're ShivaHaze here? You know, you got you didn't really have to poke around too much for anything. You got Kane off of Catfish, which is something you could, you know, expect your opponent to maybe not do so early. It's a very easy check to skip.
One could argue that given the place with a hook shot, if you beelined it into Swamp and immediately, or Maya rather, and you got your boots ASAP, you could feel behind because you've done so much more with the boots than your opponent did. But
yeah, that's very true. Late boots can definitely make you feel like that.
And I'm gonna give the lead to Fearagent right now because he's in Trinex. ShivaHaze has the 7th crystal, but Fearagent is gonna be the first one into GT at this rate.
Yeah, it's gonna be close. This is, you know, it's barely a lead. You know, a good versus a bad tower climb, even a good versus a bad, you know, gauntlet section, you know, those 4 combat rooms in the climb, you know, could swap this lead.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a game to like we play. As you see in chat here on Twitch side, we have numbers flying around. Give us a number in chat to tell us where you think the Ganis Tower B key is. Numbers 1 to 22. We will be going with the person who enters GT first in terms of their chest count, which is going to be Fearagent as he picks up Bombos and his 7th crystal.
Unless
here.
Shiva really books it. This is going, dude.
Yeah, but I think Fearagent is going to get there first.
No, never mind. That missed man. You missed it. Too bad.
Because you have to, because Shiva still has to go into the mountain, out of the mountain, and do a mirror transition. Fearagent just has to do a couple screen transitions.
Yeah. So the bot that we usually run this game with is currently on vacation. So the imaginary internet points that are awarded upon a correct guess are going to be significantly more imaginary, but you can just imagine them. It's almost as good as the real thing. And yeah, Fearagent entering GT at roughly, let's guess, you know, 137.18. No, I was way off. I was gonna guess 15, but then that seemed pretty quick, and I should have gone with my gut. Which
wow,
one?
I haven't even
right first.
I haven't even said my guess yet, but I'm gonna say it's right here in Hope Room.
Yeah, I'm guessing 3. I always guess 3.
Nope.
And then it's in Tile Room. That's my guess. Because if I never guess that the runner will check Hope Room right, Hope Room left, in Tile Room, I never get to look like a genius when it's right. You know, always gotta bet on 0.
All right, ShivaHaze is now in.
Less than a minute later.
Yeah, this is a really close race.
So yeah, unless Shiva goes right, left, Hope Room, it's probably going to be the exact same route. Because there's no key here. Yep, and pulling out that mirror. Very, very, you know, I kid, but it's very rare play to go to tile room because it's very slow for one check, and if you leave it for last, 21 times out of 22, you're gonna not have to do it at all.
Yeah, tile room is quite often usually the last check we ever see in this randomizer.
Yeah, the chances that you're gonna pick up time by doing it early are pretty low. That it's the Hail Mary of all Hail Marys, really. It's the most Hail Mary play we have in this game, really.
Nice use of the boomerang there to flip the switch.
Yeah, it's a really honestly it's one of the slickest strats there is for that. Especially with quick swap, you know, switching right there to the whatchamacallit, the boing boing hook shot. And just hook-shotting over to the pots and such.
Now, we are going to hope, at least I am, that the big keys down that ice armors, because they barely have enough arrows to get through the fight, and if they do, they don't have enough arrows to get through the mimics, the gorillas in the upper floors.
So, given that we have basically, you know, we have the same route through GT Basement, we have less than a minute between these runners. That qualifies as a very, very close race.
Yeah.
Any bit of execution is going to help. If Fear Agent slips on anything, that's going to be lost time. If ShivaHaze slips on anything, the comeback is going to be, you know, further and further away. So both these runners are going to have to stay on top of their game if they want to close this race out in their favor and take game one here.
Yeah, and it could just come down to getting triples against Ganon. It could come down to Ganonfall. It could come down to getting bonked off the Warlord 2's arena. Here we go with the Ice Armos fight. 28 arrows in the quiver.
This is about everything we can hope for at the end of a rando race, where any decision could potentially matter. It doesn't happen all the time. A lot of the time, you know, you end up with one runner took a wrong turn at, you know, Kalamazoo and ends up sort of way off in the middle of nowhere. That was a very nice quick kill on that last Armos there. It's a lot harder to do a consistent setup for it on Ice Armos because of the ice. But there we go. It's on the right side.
It's on the right side somewhere. So if you did Dark Magician strats, congratulations, you would have probably beat the seeds a little bit faster.
Oh, it's on tile room. It's gotta be tile room. Should have just gone straight in.
Yeah, it's probably Compass Chest, let's be real.
Well, I mean, in the strictest sense of the word, of course it is, because there are 4 chests in there. But, just saying, tile room can be the third chest you check.
I was calling specifically the chest that has the holes. Alright, let's see where it is. 20 rupees. Big key, there it is.
Alright, so, what's Fear Agent hoping to find there? Another key?
I believe that was...
short? Yeah, we were a key short, so yeah, good, nice heads up there to not bail immediately on finding that late big key.
Yeah, that's kind of also a little bit more key logic knowledge. If the big key is in the compass room, there's always a small key to pair with it. And ShivaHaze does not apparently know that.
Going to have to find one on the climb. That's a mistake. I will classify that as a mistake. Though, given the fact that we are short on keys, the chances that we're going to find one on the climb is a little bit higher, I would want to say. Again, not being super familiar with the key logic.
How many did we find on the left side?
I don't know. Enough for us to run out after clearing out 20 of the chests. And then there's the free one after taking the warp there, and possibly one in tile room.
Yeah, there may not be a small key up top.
Right, which would be, and again, you know, this can be sort of, you know, same thing as what Shiva did in Palace of Darkness. You know, you get that muscle memory. How often are you gonna get the big key in the 20th chest you check, I don't even know if I counted that correctly. Sorry if people playing the game if I'm leading you astray. But and not have enough keys to go up the climb. You know, it's pretty uncommon. So you could end up just muscle memorying. You know, you go to that mirror, you start the climb, and only once you get halfway up do you realize that, oh shoot, I don't have any small keys, and I need to find one. Very close behind Fear here, though. Like, 3 rooms.
Yeah, it's going to come down to those 3 upper chests, though, because Shiva's going to lose a little bit of time checking them, and if there's no small key up there, yeah,
that's GG. Exciting, though. We love to see it. Chat filling in my gaps in Ganisaur Big Key knowledge, claiming that small key is guaranteed to be in tile room at this point. I will believe them.
Oh yeah, because there's the side door. They has to have 4 small keys. The small keys have to be in the basement based on that layout. Yeah, no, Shiva is in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know my GT big key or small key logic. I just open chests.
I don't know it either, other than the fact that there's a big key in the big keys in Compass room. There has to be a small key there. That's all I know.
I don't even know offhand how many keys there are in GT total. Is it 5? 5 chest keys?
There's 4 chest keys, and I think a few more in pots.
I don't even know. Yeah, I know there are a couple in pots. I could count them if I had more time, but there's a race to commentate. Fear is on his way up the tower. So is ShivaHaze. Unfortunately, ShivaHaze will probably have to be on his way up the tower a second time, if chat is to be believed, and they often are.
Alright, so ShivaHaze, unfortunately... Oh, look at Shiva's arrow count. Oh no.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Alright, there's 1 key. There's 20 rupees. And there's 10 bombs. Well, it's 3 bombs, but now he has 10. As Fear Agent clears... there's 1 chest that... Does Shiva notice it?
There it is.
You hate to see that. That's a misplay we don't see very often here. And especially when you play as much as these guys have, it's not often that you forget to make sure you have enough keys going up GT. And this is exactly why. All of a sudden, you know, 3 rooms behind, and now Fear Agent is an entire GT climb ahead.
Yeah, that is...
It is a... And at this point in the race, there's nothing you can do to make that up. It's like either you had that lead that you could take that hit already, or you've lost the race, basically. You know, again, anything could happen. Fear Agent could fall to Ganon. But again, that's a massive hit that you don't want to have to take. And Fear Agent with the presence of mind to open that chest.
Yeah, and we can confirm that the chat was right. Because we saw the chest that would have had the small keys upstairs, we know that there is a small key in tile room.
Yeah, and now, unfortunately, Shiva does not have enough arrows.
Yeah, I noticed that
to
too.
Do the climb.
So we have to dig a little bit.
Well, that's lucky. I've had much worse luck than that. I've dug up every single spot without finding a single one. Fear Agent onto the Ganon fight. Dash pokes. Very, very cool. Very, very effective.
Yeah, getting some spins in there as well, which count for 4 hits. It is 12 slashes or 6 spins to advance Ganon to the first 2 phases, which we are already through. And now it's just going to be a couple of slashes to get him through the phase 3 here, where he's going to crack the floor.
Yeah, you know, those dash pokes don't always help a whole lot, but the biggest thing in terms of, you know, a Tempered Sword Ganon fight is they open up your options to take better advantage of different patterns. Because, you know, there are a lot of runners that can get a 1-in-1 with the right pattern. But the biggest difference between the people who have really put in the time on this fight and the people who haven't necessarily. Ooh, that's a little rough. I think do we have any magic safeties?
I think he does, yeah. So yeah, now we have the silver. You keep the torches lit, and then as Ganon teleports away, you might notice him raising his hands briefly. There is like a 2-frame window that you have to... You can do an attack at Ganon, which will give him damage you can register.
Yeah,
and that's
they forgot to make him invincible for 2 frames in the Japanese release. That's okay.
Yeah.
It was the first release.
Yeah, any earlier he stuns him. You can slash, but it's much more consistent hit with the sword hitbox. We did not get the torch glitch, unfortunately, so this is going to be a little bit harder on the magic side.
Yeah, torch glitch meaning you light the first torch before the second one goes out. The second one forgets to go out.
Yeah, I was going to explain that.
Yeah, sorry. It's a tense moment here. We have this final fight. If Fear can close this out, it's going to be game 1 in the books.
Yeah. Gonna dodge the bat here. Gonna set up.
But as you can see, especially if you don't have the lamp, the torch glitch is very, very instrumental to doing this. You have to light those torches a lot of times. Without that half magic, would have needed that potion. As it is, a little left in the tank. As the sword goes up, that bridge will be arriving shortly, and fearagent is going to take game 1 with a final time of... Read it out for us, Wolflink.
Ladies and gentlemen, fearagent is finished in first place with a time of 1:49.22. Get your GGs in chat for fearagent. Well done. ShivaHaze is not out of the tournament yet. This is a best-of-3 set, so has a couple more games against fearagent to go to try and pull this from the brink of defeat here. But this, one more loss, and Shiva goes home.
And you know, another race, and Fear would have been in hot water again if that if those boots hadn't been right there in Maya right then. This would have been a very different race.
Yeah, this came down to GT, ironically, and not in the way you would expect.
If those boots had been in left side swamp, Shiva would have had a very, very solid advantage there, because would have had the opportunity to find those first. Because Fear would not have been going back there anytime soon. Shiva finally back to where that crucial mistake was noticed. But again, you know, that happens. That happens, you know, sometimes you forget. And this tournament is, tournament life isn't on the line quite yet, but tensions are still going to be running high for both of these runners, so... Looks like Shiva is planning on finishing out the race. Shiva obviously knows at this point that, well, maybe not. Maybe doesn't look at the race time room in the middle of a race, but you're going to be seeing shortly if we can get either or both of these runners in for an interview. See if we can get some nice Aga cycles here. It's 1, 2. 1 triple here could make a 3 cycle. If I'd remembered Fear's fight, I would have known that wasn't going to happen. Those blue balls, but here we go. 1 hit, and that's a 4 cycle. That's
now,
what you get without any good multiples there.
So, folks, you're probably wondering where Fearagent is. Well, we're not going to be able to have an interview with Iron Runner, actually, because I should probably mention this. Game 2 is coming up. It's coming up next, actually. We're gonna give you guys some fresh.
I kind of feel that's that doesn't feel amazing if you're ShivaHaze here, having to do game 2 right after this, But that's another thing you got to be able to do. You got to be able to shake it off and go again.
So we are going to be seeing Shiva's Ganon fight here. Of course, folks, we are not going to be the commentators of this next match. We're going to get some fresh comments for you, but yeah, Shiva already on phase 3 here. Let's see if Shiva gets the torch glitch.
Yeah, notably the torch glitch is a little harder to set up with the fire rod. There's a little bit more timing involved. Usually, I think you want to, you know, timer input as right as the last tile falls. With the torch lamp, you can just kind of spam it, so it's pretty brain dead to set it up. But
yeah, I have to be a little bit careful with the fire rod.
Shiva can set up for some triples here, having that sort of ready to charge up. Can get another hit in here before the lamp goes out again. Very nice. But yeah, as soon as Shiva finishes this, I'm gonna be wishing our GGs to both of these runners and handing you off to some new, potentially even more beautiful commentators.
And ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs in chat for ShivaHaze. Finishing up the Ganon fight. A little bit of a trip up near the end, but otherwise very well done. And that is a finish time of 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 13 seconds.
Yeah, so that's gonna be game 1 going to fearagent here. You know, I'd love to talk about this, but you know, we do have that game 2 coming up right after this. I'm going to be signing off. Wolflink is going to be signing off, and we're going to be welcoming Drosy and Homemade Beer for game 2. Right here on Speed Gaming 3. So if you folks can hang tight, Wolflink, do you have anything else to add?
Just to make sure, follow my co-commentator Esvar here, excellent commentary with you, and make sure to also follow our tracker here for this race, Aku Hayesh. I hope I pronounced that name right once again. I don't know if I got that correct. And of course, make sure to follow our runners here, or if you're watching this on the YouTube side of things as well. And yeah, we're gonna hand it off over to Drosy and Homemade Beer for game 2 here on Speed Gaming 3. Hey folks, there are some other races going on though, real quick. I just want to mention them. So we also have going on at the same time on ALTTPR Randomizer, we have F. Coughlin versus In the Name of DT. And then, actually that's it. That's the last 2 matches of the night.
Yeah, the schedule is a bit packed here because we've got all of these game 1s, game 2s, game 3s. We're into the bracket. Things are getting a bit hectic, but yeah, good luck to ShivaHaze. Hopefully you can run it back for game 3. But that's going to be it for us. We'll see you on the other side.
We'll see you all next time. And, well, it's just going to be for you guys in a few minutes. And thanks for watching. Later, folks.